Hello, everyone, and welcome on into the BettingPros podcast. I'm Thomas Viola, and it is time for the PGA Championship at Southern Hills in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So today, to help us break it all down, we have Action Network's Josh Perry joining us. Josh, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. Just ready for another major like everyone else out there. It's a good time.
That's right. And right off the bat, one of the things that we were talking about right before we came on air here, you mentioned the majors are a little bit easier to handicap. Why is that?
I mean, you just have more time with them. You have time to look at the course. You know what the numbers are. I mean, you got months at looking at odds. You can pick off a few guys early here or there if you think they're going to drop, rather than just kind of jam everything into 3 days and hope it works out. So, yeah, there's just more time. You can be a little more patient and wait on things, get things early. And it just kind of gives you a bit of an edge if you're paying attention that much.
That makes perfect sense to me. It's not that quick 3-day turnaround you have where a normal tournament ends on Sunday and then by Wednesday you've got to have all your bets in and be ready to go, right?
Yeah. It's the more time you get, the better it is. If they gave some advanced stuff all the time, it'd be pretty easy for some of these tournaments. But the majors give you that chance, and we've been able to hit. I know a lot of people were on Scheffler pretty early. He hit Phoenix, and all of a sudden and then that number dropped. He was at 35-40 to 1 for the Masters, and then by the time you get there, he's 12 to 1. So you can kind of see where the value would be if you can pick off some of these guys early on.
Exactly. It is important to have that look ahead that the majors give you where you can grab the number before it starts to really fluctuate. But at this point, where we sit here, we're headed into Southern Hills this week, and Jon Rahm is actually going to be the favorite at most places. Scottie Scheffler is somewhere around the same neighborhood, but a lot of shops, what we're seeing is 11 to 12 to 1 on Rahm here. Phil Mickelson, the defending champ, obviously he's not going to be around to defend his title here. And the last time, if I'm not mistaken, we had a PGA Tour winner at this course, it was Tiger Woods way back 10 years ago or so. But Rahm, the favorite right now, what do you think of him? Do you think that people are the number's just wrong to bet him at this point? Where do you think he stands?
Personally, I don't really go after the top guys. It just doesn't fit with my overall betting thing. I can see why people would do it. And with Rahm, it honestly might not be a bad idea if you want to go that way, just because he got the win in Mexico. So he kind of got that off his shoulders a bit there. He's got one on the board. He can kind of relax a touch and kind of just go out there and play. He's not worried about everything where you're in a spot where you haven't won and you're trying to go into a major with that sort of pressure on you. You can just kind of go and done it. He's a major champ. He's got a win recently. And so everything is starting to click up a bit. Obviously, it wasn't like a super strong field in Mexico, but sometimes that's just what these guys need to get rolling a bit. And I mean, like I said, I don't bet the numbers, but I can understand if somebody just wants to go place one bet and they put it on Rahm and kind of move forward.
And honestly, at 11 or 12 to 1, yeah, he's the favorite, but you're still getting a decent return on that. I can understand if someone likes to do that too. But you said you don't really bet the numbers. You're more into betting the golfers. What are some of the golfers that you actually like out there this week?
Kind of looking more at iron play and scrambling stuff. So if you're wanting to go to the top, I didn't bet him, but I'll probably have him in some like DraftKings stuff. It's like Morikawa types where they put the driver in play. They can kind of keep it out of the rough. And then a lot of iron play and hitting these tough greens. To a lesser extent, guys like Keegan Bradley, who's played well recently, similar type of mold, obviously not to quite the level of Morikawa, but a similar game style. Then I went with other guys Fitzpatrick's been playing really well. I think he'll show up decently here, and that type of mold. The middle tier is kind of interesting because I think there's a good chance the winner can come from there because it's not overwhelmingly favoring the Bombers this week. It's kind of more well-rounded, and that's kind of where we see the more well-rounded guys a lot of the times is in that middle range there, the 33s, the 50 type range. So that type of player is what I'm kind of looking at.
Yeah, this is more of one of those courses, and we'll get into it in a little bit on the attributes of the golfers, where you're not necessarily looking for that guy who has the 500-yard drive to come out on top in this one, especially with the wins here. But talking about some of those guys real quick, Matt Fitzpatrick, he's at 45 to 1 right now on DraftKings. Colin Morikawa, obviously up closer to the top of the pack at 16 to 1. And then you also said Keegan Bradley, he's at 65 to 1 right now. there's a lot of value there in that middle of the pack. But one of the things that is going to be a major problem for these golfers is the wind, that Oklahoma wind on the course. Southern Hills, they got rid of a lot of the trees that were around the course lining it, and there's less of a shield from that now. The weather forecast says Thursday, Friday, expect to see a lot more wind. We could see some rain on Friday. Saturday, Sunday, weather is supposed to open up a little bit. How is that going to affect some of these guys out there, and how does that impact your handicapping when you're picking some of these guys?
Yeah, it's always tough, especially this early. I mean, you kind of got to keep an eye on it. Occasionally, you'll get a tee time draw advantage if you're looking. But you got to kind of wait till Wednesday night because forecasts, we all know they can kind of bounce around all over the place. I think it's going to draw more people to the local-ish guys, the Oklahoma State guys, the Hovlands and things like that, just because they've handled it before. The Texas guys, Beat's going to draw a lot of action just because of how well he's playing in that. I think it could also, if you're seeing a lot of wind, I mean, the Euro guys tend to pop up there if it starts to get windy, like an Open, where, like, I mean, they have a lot of these greens where there's the runoffs. There's going to be a lot of scrambling around there. You can see, I've got Shane Lowry from a couple months ago on the card. It's not something I'd probably bet at like 30-1, but when he was hanging around in those 40-50 ranges, that was something that interests me. And then I already mentioned Fitzpatrick there, so we see some Euro guys pop up there just because of that high wind can favor them at times.
I mean, that makes perfect sense. We know, especially in the England area, not known for pristine weather conditions for the golfing, you know?
Yeah, for sure. If they're going to mix in some rain on there and 20-mile-an-hour winds like we're seeing, I mean, that's every day over there, it seems like. So they should. You'd think if there was an edge, they might have it.
Guys, I want to talk to you for a minute about Sleeper. It's the fastest growing fantasy platform today with millions of players, and it's a game-changing product unlike anything else in the industry. And now, you could win on Sleeper by playing their new over-under game. It's super simple. First, in any sport, choose 2 or more players that you like and pick the over-under. For example, number of points in a basketball game, or hits in a baseball game. Then choose the amount of money you want to enter into the contest. If you pick correctly, you could win anywhere from 2 to over 20 times the amount of money you put in. The main reason I'm excited about Over Under on Sleeper is that it's the only app where I can join my buddies' contests and play together. It's got a built-in group chat where I can talk trash and copy my friends' picks with the tap of a button. It's insanely easy and fun to ride it out together. So stop what you're doing and download Sleeper now to play their new Over Under game. Have fun with your friends and make some money. On your mobile phone, join our listener group on Sleeper at sleeper.com/bettingpros, and Sleeper will automatically match your first deposit up to $100. Again, just go to sleeper.com/bettingpros, and you'll get a $100 match on your first deposit. This week, I'm going Steph Curry over 3.5 made three-pointers. Terms and conditions apply. See sleeper.com for details. And you also specifically mentioned Viktor Hovland. I wanted to bring him up. I actually had it already here in my notes because I already have a ticket on him at 25-1. You can find him as high as 28 still. He lives in Stillwater, Oklahoma now. Obviously, he's one of those European guys, though. And he's been playing Southern Hills for weeks to prepare right now. Do you think that he has a legitimate shot here?
I think the concern on it is the scrambling and around the greens. As we've seen, there's a lot of runoffs and everything like that. And he's been pretty rough. I think the play with Viktor is, I don't know if you follow Feinberg at all, Jeff Feinberg, but his play with Viktor is to bet him to win by like 3+ at like 70-80-1. I think if Hovland wins, it's going to be one of those where he runs away because it's going to be a week where he's just so dialed in that he's not having to scramble. He's just hitting every green, every right, and getting a lot more birdie looks than everyone else. And he's minimizing where he can get into trouble. And I think if you're going to look for a Hovland play, that's kind of the way I'd go, is wait for a prop bet on him to try to find him to kind of run away with it. Like if he's gonna win, I don't think it's going to be one of those tight ones. I think it's going to be one of those ones where he's just clicking and going, and he just, hey, like what Rory used to do, and he would win a major by 5-6 shots. I think that if Hovland is completely ready to go and knows where to miss and knows how to manage that short game, I think he could blow it out if he does win it.
And as you mentioned, the importance of short game, we actually have another quasi guest here. He's not joining us live, but we have Southern Hills Senior Caddie Dan Griffin. We got some of his thoughts on the course, what to expect out there. And one of the things that he talked about was the short game and the importance of that. Let's hear from him now.
It's hard to hit greens out here out of the rough because all the greens are so well bunkered, and a lot of shots, if you're in the rough, you're going to have to almost play chunk and run up to the greens, and with bunkers like that you can't do it. And then coming out of the rough, balls aren't going to hold, they're going to go over the green. Of course all these holes are different, but for example on number 1 here, you can see the bunkers on the left, and that's where they want to hit their tee ball to come into the green. But if they're in the right rough with a south wind, hitting a shot over that right bunker down here, it's not going to hold. It's going to run over the green. I don't care the best pros out there. They'll be very lucky to hit that green. So they're going to have to kind of chunk it left to that green side bunker and try to run it up on the edge. And there's a lot of holes out here like that if you're in the rough, good luck hitting the green. So they're going to have their best short games out here if they're going to want to score on a halfway windy day.
Dan Griffin, he's been the senior caddy at Southern Hills since 1959. Whole lot of experience there. We thank him for taking a couple minutes to talk to us and answer some questions. But like he said, the short game, it is going to be so important. How does that come into play? Who are some of the golfers that you think might really be able to take advantage of the scrambling?
Scrambling wise, I mean, Cam Smith was another guy I targeted a few months ago. Again, probably not going to bet him at like 20-1, but when he was in that 40 range, I think he could pop up well. Fitzpatrick, again, I think I've said him 3-4 times now, but I like him this week as far as a course fit style goes. I mean, everyone's going to go to Spieth if he's not missing the 4-footers that kind of cost him yesterday. But it fits those type of guys. I mean, we've seen him around the greens. Hideki's sneaky around the greens. People think of him as a bad putter, but that doesn't translate to a short game. He's actually really good around the greens, and then sometimes just misses the 4-footer. But he's usually the reason why we see him miss so many 4-footers is because he's chipped it to 4 feet, 3 feet every time from some tough spots where he's hit the irons there. So, it's those type of guys. And I mean, the scrambling, if the greens are small and they have runoffs, it's going to matter. And that's one of the things where we don't always weight it too high around the greens because there's a lot of tournaments where if you're missing too many greens and you're scrambling, you're not going to win anyway. But when you're getting in these tougher weeks where major time and winning score is going to be 8, 10, 12 under, then you got to be able to get it up and down a few times. And so those are a few of the guys that seem to pop up each week when we're looking at that.
And that's my next question that I wanted to ask you about here. When it comes to scoring, what do you think we're going to see if people were interested in getting into that prop market? Some of those lines not really available yet, but they'll be coming out as time goes on. What are you expecting to see as far as a final score prediction? Do you think that these are going to be low scoring rounds, or do you think this might get a little higher?
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough to tell because weather plays so much of a factor. So it depends on what we actually end up getting. But I mean, if they're going to play the rough up and they're going to bake out the greens and then we get 20 miles an hour wind, I mean, if you're shooting under par, you're going to be gaining quite a bit on the field. And then it's a par 70, and you got to factor that in as well. So, I mean, you're missing out on 2 par 5s. The par 5s that they do have are like massive too. We're talking 630, 650. So unless you're Cam Champ, it's going to be tough to get there in 2 for 90% of the field. And if you miss the fairway, there's just no chance. So, I mean, otherwise you got driver and 3-wood for a lot of these guys. So there's not the easy par 5 birdie opportunities. There are some shorter par 4s where you're going to have some wedges in, but I mean, we saw Tiger win at 8. It's obviously been revamped since then. We saw last year Alex Chayka won at 8 for the senior tour. So, I mean, that seems to be a target score around here. I would expect it to be high single digits. If there's some rain and it softens some things up, we could see low teens, 12 to 13 under. But par 70s, it's just usually tough to get going anyway, just because you're missing those 2 extra birdie opportunities you get each round.
And Dan Griffin actually had something similar. He was more on the low side of it, as we can see here.
Well, I think it's 3 to 5.
Really?
I think 3 to 5. If we, like I was telling you, if we get a little bit of wind, the green speeds up, the rough's up, 3 to 5, I think is going to be a really good score. Now, if we get calm winds and soft greens and stuff, they can blow it out to 12 or 13 under, but I really don't look for that on this course. This course has always stood up well.
Now, of course, a little of what he said there, he was speaking with us before they announced some of the course changes, some of those distances. The 3 to 5 may be a little too aggressive.
I mean, it's tough. So I mean, if they get the rough up, I mean, and you miss that, and you can't really go at these greens very easily, and then the runoffs are there. Again, it's going to come down to how the wind plays. If you're getting 20-mile-an-hour winds and 1 under par is a great score on any golf course, it seems like. So, yeah, it's just a lot of it's weather dependent. And it depends on what they get. Like you said, I mean, it could be 3 to 5 if we get wind. If we don't, if it kind of dies down like it might on Saturday, Sunday a little bit, and there's a little rain in the forecast, all of a sudden it's not as defensive. There's not as much defense up there. Guys can shoot 4 or 5 under on a day and post some numbers and kind of go where it might be one of those times where you're heading at 3-4 under on the weekend and somebody shoots 66, 65 and goes out and posts a 12 and walks away with it. If they get some wind up the whole week, it's going to be rough out there.
Guys, real quick, remember when you're looking for free picks and sports betting advice, BettingPros.com has you covered with tips from over 150 experts to make it easy for you to cash out. Download the app to get sports betting alerts. You'll get notified of favorable bets based on line movements, consensus picks from the most accurate experts, and vetted systems in play. Betting Pros monitors all of the major sports books, most accurate experts, and top systems to identify the best betting opportunities. So download today in the Apple or Google Play stores. Now, you know who we have to talk about. It's illegal to do any kind of golf content without bringing up Tiger and where you think he's going to finish. He says the knee feels good. He says that he's feeling a lot stronger than he did at Augusta. How much of that can you take at face value? He's 70-1 right now. He's the 7th most popular bet for the public because he's always going to be bet by the public. It makes him one of the worst bets in golf because his odds are so distorted by that. But we still have to ask, what are you expecting from him?
I mean, he won here the last time, so he knows what to do around here. I mean, obviously it's a little bit different with the revamp, but I mean, you got to figure. I mean, he should be around on the weekend. I mean, he made the cut at Augusta. This course, I mean, isn't as taxing of a walk for him as Augusta. So physically, he should be able to hold up a little bit better. You'd think he's got another month under his belt of rehabbing and getting back into the swing of things. So you figure stamina-wise, he'll be fine. I honestly think he'll probably start out. It'll probably be fairly similar to what he did at Augusta, where he opened up pretty well the first day, then kind of tapered off. He might open up well the first 2.5, 3 days, and then kind of taper off. I don't have any money on him this time. I mean, last time they were hanging plus money on him to make the cut at Augusta, and that was just a gift because it's Tiger at Augusta. He's not going to miss the cut.
I took that same bet.
Yeah, I don't see that type of odd. I don't see us getting that type of odds. I probably see him hanging like a -110 type situation, maybe. And then, I mean, you're dealing with a situation where we got 150 guys instead of 86. So there's a way deeper field here than there is at the Masters. So it's one of those things. He's probably got to get off to a good start to really do anything, because it's hard to see him playing better as the week goes on, just until he gets back healthier, if that's ever a thing for him.
Now, you talked a little bit, and by the way, I'm in complete agreement there. I think that we'll see him start off strong and then taper off, because I don't feel quite like he's totally back. You know, it's very hard for him to. I don't think he's ever going to get back to that point where he was at in his true dominance. But even just, I don't feel like he's truly back from the injury.
Oh yeah, no, and he probably never will be. It's just one of those things where you just gotta enjoy that he's out there. I mean, you don't have to. I mean, we've been watching this. A lot of us have been watching this for years now. We've all had chances to hit Tiger Woods. Now is not really the time to dive in on the betting side of things, unless they're going to give us a bunch of plus money again to make a cut, or some weird matchup where he's clearly an underdog against somebody he maybe shouldn't be. But outside of that, it's really tough to dive in at 70-1 outside of some nostalgia there.
So let's talk about some of those matchups. I know you don't have much on the board just yet. Is there anywhere that you're targeting, anywhere that you're looking to go or thinking about for a particular line, if you can get it?
I haven't. Yeah, it's still early for matchups there. It's kind of one of those things where there's going to be some potential edges with people. I mean, they always kind of favor the bombers most places there. If you can find some of the unknown scrambler type guys, I want to say not unknown obviously with Cam, but and Fitzpatrick, I've already mentioned them. The Zudenhout is a guy who might pop up for me because he's in a similar mold there. And I'm trying to think, just those type of guys and then I've already mentioned a guy like Keegan Bradley. I'm on him as a long shot guy where, I mean, I think his ball striking should set up here well to where he's not having to scramble as much, hopefully. And I mean, and the thing is too, is around the greens and his putters actually started to play better, which is why you're seeing actual results in him in contention rather than just taking 35th every week. So those type of guys, the guys that I've kind of already bet outright, I kind of look around and see if they hang a matchup where they're in a spot with this guy of similar outright odds. And if they hang the minus 110, I think this guy's going to win the tournament. And I don't think this guy can't win the tournament. I'll take a 50-50 shot on him. But that's usually where I hang out, to see who my card initially lines up with and see where the matchups are, and if they hang it up against a guy that I just don't like at all.
And so you talk about that. You talk about favoring the scramblers over the bombers here. What is it about the scramblers on this particular course? Obviously, there is the wind factor, but they've also shortened the course up a bit, and that's going to affect the bombers' advantage, right?
Yeah, I mean, they can always club down and try to keep it in play, but when you've got a bunch of par fours that are set to play under 400 yards or under 450 yards, it kind of keeps the field more level. There's not the 3, 4, 5 times where you're playing a par 4 that's 520 yards. You're not, and then the par 5s, they've kind of negated it the other way, where almost nobody can go for it. And if you're going to play a hole at 650 yards, I mean, 650 yards into the wind, if depending on the way the wind goes, Cam Champ's going to have driver 3-wood, and he's still going to have 100 yards in. So, I mean, it's one of those things where they've kind of leveled it out a bit. I think it's not necessarily that the bombers aren't going to play well. It's just that they've set up the course, it seems like, to kind of neutralize everything, and kind of just whoever shows up with their best game, whatever they do well, whoever shows up and has their A stuff and can kind of hide the weaknesses for 4 days is going to be the one who wins it, rather than, all right, we have 7,600 yards at a par 70. We can chop this field the 20 bombers and pick 3 or 4 of them and move on, which is kind of what it, on the initial scorecard when they had it at 7,600 yards that I saw, it was kind of the way I was leaning with it.
Want to track all of your wagers in one place? Check out the BettingPros Pick Tracker at bettingpros.com/picktracking. It syncs up with your sports books to tally which picks hit, which miss, and gives you a live look at what the public is doing, so you can use real-time tracking to determine which plays to make and which to fade. Get on the leaderboard and quickly become a sharp by using the free advice we offer at bettingpros.com/picktracking. So if we wanted to recap some of the big takeaways here for some casual bettors who are looking to make some golf picks this weekend, would it be fair to say the big things that you want to look for in this one are go for the golfers who are more of that scrambler type, kind of avoid the long bombers, look into the middle of the pack when it comes to the betting odds. There's a lot of value to be found in a larger field like this, and especially given the course layout and who it's going to be favoring. Again, going back to those people with the great short game, look for the scramblers. And also keep in mind for the weather, keep an eye on that forecast, and maybe try and wait a little bit to make some of your picks.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the tee drop might matter there. There might be an edge there, depending on how the wind's supposed to go. So that always helps. But yeah, if it kind of comes down to guys are going to have to hit. These are small greens. They're going to be tough to hit. So you got to have the ball in play. There's a creek that runs everywhere. So you just it's going to be one of those weeks where you have to have it in play off the tee. If you don't have it in play off the tee, then you can't really hit these greens. If you can't really hit these greens, then you got to scramble. So it kind of favors those above average length who can keep it the precision type players, and then they have the iron game to go with it. If you're missing one of those things, you're inaccurate off the tee, you're inaccurate with the irons, you have to be able to get it up and down. And if that's a weakness, it's going to be a long week for those type of guys.
Josh, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Before I let you go, I have to ask point blank, who is it that is going to be winning this weekend, and why is it John Daly?
John Daly. He was actually playing good last week, and then got DQ. He was up there in the top 10 with the senior majors there. Just Stricker was lighting him up. Now, John, my top guy right now that I bet this week with the odds that are still out there is Fitzpatrick at the 45. I think you can even find a 50. You can shop it around, but I just think overall his game has probably been about as consistent as anybody else out there. He's top 15, top 20 every single week. He's better. I think people have kind of soured on him just because they're kind of sick of watching him. He doesn't ever win, but he's actually a lot better than he was a year or two ago as far as off the tee game, as far as his approach game. He's longer, he's more accurate, and then he's still scrambling well and he's still making putts. It's one of those things where, and he said it before, if the scores are in that 3 to 5 under range, like the caddy mentioned there, that fits what he wants to do. He likes to go out there and grind for pars. I've kind of said it before, nobody makes a 15-footer for par better than Matt Fitzpatrick. So if that's the week it is, then he's a guy at that number I think is a pretty good play.
All right, Josh, thank you so much. Where can people find all the awesome work you're doing over at Action?
Yeah, for sure. ActionNetwork.com. You can download the Action app where we track all your bets for the PGA or any sport. I mean, obviously playoffs are going, NBA, NHL, everything like that. You can track everything you're doing there. Twitter, Joshua Perry 22. See whatever else I'm doing. We'll have some Corn Ferry later in the week because nobody's paying attention to that, so we might find something there. And yeah, that's where I'll be.
All right, guys, best of luck out there this weekend. You've heard it here. Good luck placing your bets. May the odds be in your favor. Thank you so much to Dan Griffin as well for giving us some of his time. Josh, can't appreciate you sitting down with us enough. It has been a pleasure. Best of luck once again, everybody, and we will see you guys next week.